Something massive is about to happen in the global economy because not just one, two, or three nations, but nearly 10 nations have prepared themselves for the biggest economic collapse, one that could initiate the final financial meltdown on Earth. Witness this urgent warning. The World Bank chief has issued a dire warning that the global economy is reaching a breaking point. Stock markets are showing unprecedented volatility, while America's national debt has surpassed $34 trillion. What's the trigger, you ask? America's financial system crumbling under the weight of its own excess. I understand that what I'm sharing today might sound alarming to some of you. You might be thinking of clicking away, leaving a comment calling this fear-mongering, or even unsubscribing. I ask only that you hear me out completely. I'm not presenting opinions, but verifiable economic data from institutions like the IMF and Federal Reserve. Judge what I'm sharing not by your initial reaction, but by examining the evidence yourself. According to the latest economic data, manufacturing is contracting, housing markets are weakening, and banking stress indicators are flashing red. Yes, folks, this is not a joke, not a dream. This is happening right now, and I want to give you every detail of what is unfolding. Look at these economic warning signs already manifesting. Also this morning, emerging markets have begged the IMF for help as China has deployed massive financial countermeasures that are draining global liquidity. This move has raised serious concerns about the international monetary system that has maintained global stability for decades. While some economists believe the U.S. economy remains resilient enough to avoid catastrophic collapse, even mainstream financial experts acknowledge these vulnerabilities exist. The fundamental weaknesses I'm highlighting are mathematical realities, not opinions. I encourage you to verify every statistic I share and research these economic dependencies yourself. So folks, listen carefully and pay complete attention to these words because this is a critical time and it is the right time to prepare ourselves for whatever challenges lie ahead. Folks, this is the moment we've been warning about. The forces of financial destruction are no longer whispers in the dark, no longer distant warnings. They are here, standing at the gates, and they are ready to march forward. Mexico is mobilizing in an unprecedented way, increasing its economic protections to prepare for American economic fallout. Russia and China have accelerated de-dollarization, building alternative payment systems that bypass the SWIFT network. The European Central Bank has issued a statement that they cannot bail out American banks if Wall Street collapses, while Saudi Arabia has begun moving toward accepting other currencies for oil, threatening the petrodollar system. This is no ordinary financial correction. This is a direct challenge, a silent warning that the current world economic order is about to undergo a seismic shift. What does America do? They continue monetary expansion because they know that without intervention, they could be facing an economic collapse unlike anything seen before. Throughout history, people have dismissed economic warnings right before catastrophic collapses. In 1929, economists declared stocks had reached a permanently high plateau weeks before the crash. In 2007, experts insisted subprime mortgages posed no systemic risk. Being early with a warning is often mistaken for being wrong until suddenly events prove the warnings were justified. Now let's examine the 10 countries that will collapse when America's economy crashes. Year 10. Mexico. Mexico will experience this economic devastation first and most severely. Mexico sends over 80% of its exports, worth $400 billion, directly to the United States. More critical are the $58 billion in remittances sent home by workers in America that support 10 million families. When America falls, these lifelines will be cut instantly. The automotive sector employing millions will shut down within weeks. Border communities that depend on American tourism will become ghost towns overnight. As economic desperation grips the nation, the cartels will expand their influence, offering false solutions through crime and corruption. After the U.S. collapse, watch for civil unrest, mass migration, and governance failures that will transform this nation. 9. Canada is bound to America's fate. 75% of Canadian exports, $400 billion, go directly to the U.S. Their oil sector, representing 10% of their entire economy, would be utterly devastated by falling American demand. But the true danger lies in their housing market, overvalued by 38% according to the IMF, ready to collapse like a house of cards. Canadian household debt has reached staggering levels, 186% of disposable income. During the coming financial tribulation, Canadian systems will become paralyzed, unable to function independently after decades of economic integration with America. 8. South Korea. South Korea stands at a critical crossroads. Their export-driven economy ships $74 billion in semiconductors and electronics to America annually. When American consumers stop buying, these exports will vanish overnight. South Korea's household debt has reached an astounding 105% of GDP, the highest in Asia. When economic winds blow, this house will not stand. South Korea faces a double threat: economic collapse from the West and military pressure from the North. The technology sector they've built will face catastrophic contraction as American tech companies cancel orders and supply chains disintegrate. 7. Brazil. Brazil's enormous agricultural exports, soybeans, coffee, beef, will see prices collapse when American purchasing power evaporates. Brazil's government debt has reached 90% of GDP, leaving no room for economic salvation when the crisis hits. Their currency will be among the first to collapse, making imported goods unaffordable overnight. When America falls, watch for unprecedented chaos in Brazil, currency collapse, civil unrest, and leadership failures that will open the door to radical change. 6. India. India's technology sector, employing 4.5 million people and representing 8% of GDP, will face immediate devastation when American corporations slash budgets. But more critical are the $87 billion in annual remittances that support 40 million Indians. When America crashes, India will witness financial system failures, corporate bankruptcies, and social upheavals that confound the wise of this world. This is not fear-mongering. This is a merciful warning to prepare, to get your economic house in order before the crisis unfolds. 5. Turkey. Turkey's currency has already lost 80% of its value in 5 years, and inflation has reached 85%, pushing millions into poverty. Their banking system holds $300 billion in foreign currency debt, a physical manifestation of dependency on Western systems. When America falls, watch for economic events in Turkey: currency collapse, bank failures, and political realignment that will position this nation for a new role in global affairs. 4. Argentina. Argentina stands as a warning of economic judgment. They've already defaulted on their national debt 8 times and currently face 50% annual inflation. Their government spends 38% of all revenue just paying interest on debt. Argentina's agricultural exports, their economic lifeblood, will see prices collapse when global trade seizes up after America falls. After America crashes, Argentina will experience things never before seen in its troubled financial history: hyperinflation, bank nationalizations, and societal upheaval that will force this nation to its knees. 3. Saudi Arabia. Despite appearances of wealth, Saudi Arabia remains utterly dependent on oil exports. 70% of government revenue and 90% of export earnings come from oil that will plummet in price when America falls. Their Vision 2030 plan to diversify away from oil requires continuous prosperity that will vanish overnight. After America crashes, Saudi Arabia will witness economic signs: oil wealth evaporating, mega projects abandoned, and social contracts strained to breaking points. 2. Nigeria. Nigeria represents Africa's most vulnerable economy. Over 90% of export earnings come from oil sales that will collapse when global demand contracts. With 40% of Nigerians already living in extreme poverty, there are no economic buffers to absorb the coming shock. When America's economic judgment falls, Nigeria's banking system, already fragile with 15% non-performing loans, will collapse under impossible pressure. After America crashes, watch for unprecedented events in Nigeria: currency failure, food shortages, and societal strain that will push this nation to the breaking point. 1. China. China faces the greatest absolute risk when America falls. Exports to America totaled over $450 billion last year, supporting 15 million Chinese jobs that will vanish when American consumers stop buying. What the world doesn't understand is China's corporate debt bomb, 160% of GDP, the highest in human history. Their property sector, representing 29% of their entire economy, is already beginning to collapse, showing the first cracks in their economic foundation. The interdependence between these two economic superpowers means neither can escape the coming economic judgment. When America crashes, China will experience economic tribulation of biblical proportions, factory closures, banking failures, and social pressures that will test their entire system. Brothers and sisters, what I've shared today is not meant to bring fear but awareness. These 10 nations share profound economic connections with America, interdependence that goes beyond mere trade statistics. Even if the timeline extends longer than expected, these fundamental vulnerabilities remain real. Even if the specific triggers differ from what I've outlined, these 10 countries will still face severe challenges when America's economy eventually contracts. If you disagree with this analysis, I welcome thoughtful counterpoints in the comments. Economic discussion benefits from diverse perspectives, and I value viewers who engage respectfully even when they see things differently. What I'm presenting isn't inevitable doom. It's a call to preparation. Understanding these vulnerabilities allows you to position yourself wisely. Nations may falter, currencies may fail, but prepared individuals and communities can weather even the worst economic storms. Is this economic collapse happening tomorrow? But is it within the realm of possibility during our lifetime? Absolutely. The forces that hold global financial systems together can shift dramatically and suddenly. For everyone watching, this is your call to be alert, to wake up, to evaluate your financial vulnerabilities. The days of economic prosperity without interruption cannot last forever. And when America's economy crashes, the line will become clear between those who prepared and those who ignored the warnings. What's coming after America's economic fall? A shift, a test, a separation, and ultimately a new economic reality. But those who are ready will not be shaken. They will navigate these turbulent waters. Thank you for listening with an open mind. Whether you agree or disagree with this analysis, I encourage you to conduct your own research and reach your own conclusions. Because in the end, being informed and prepared is never a wasted effort, regardless of when or how these economic challenges unfold.